Good afternoon. My name is Boone. I'm working with the @Google team. I'm here to talk with José González and watch him play like the rest of us. If it's possible, we'd like to respectfully ask that you turn off your ringers on your cell phones. And this is going to be the biggest challenge of all. Maybe close your laptops if possible, or just type really quietly, which also may be a challenge. It's my pleasure to introduce José González, our first guest in the new series, Musicians at Google. We'll be having a brief conversation, and José will take a couple of questions at the end from the audience before we get into his musical set. José González was born in Gothenburg, Sweden in 1978 to Argentine parents. Although he was raised in Sweden, his parents' love of Latin American, classical, and pop music gave him a diverse musical background that would help shape his future career. At the age of 14, José taught himself to play guitar by learning Beatles and bossa nova songs from 2 books that his father had given him. He then went on to play bass in a series of bands, including a punk combo, a hardcore band, and an indie rock band. Although after exploring these various genres and styles, he returned to his nylon strings and his classical guitar. In 2003, José released his debut album, Veneer, in Europe. The album has since been released in the UK and the United States and has sold more than 700,000 copies worldwide. His version of the Knife's Heartbeats was featured in a Sony Bravia commercial, which helped to propel him into the public eye. The song Crosses was featured on the finale of the OC's 2nd season, and Stay in the Shade was used in yet another episode of the OC during the 3rd season. Last month, José released his 2nd album, In Our Nature, in 35 countries. Pitchfork called this latest effort a more thoughtful and atmospheric work than either Veneer or last year's Stay in the Shade EP. Mojo magazine wrote that he's a master of umbral moods, and in this respect at least, In Our Nature is a worthy successor of the phenomenal Veneer. José has performed on several late-night TV shows, including Late Night with Conan O'Brien, the BBC's Later with Jules Holland, and Last Call with Carson. He recently performed as part of NPR's live concert series and will be headlining tonight at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. So now begins the interview.
Thank you. Nice introduction.
Was it fairly accurate?
Yeah.
Great. I did a lot of research.
Yeah.
So, I find your family history very interesting. Maybe you could talk a little bit about it and how it influenced you in your music.
Yeah, both my parents are from Argentina. They fled the country in '76, and I was born in Sweden, '78. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't a musical family, but they had this much music. And so around the age of 14, as you said, I started playing guitar and kind of started by copying this Cuban singer called Silvio Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. And as you said, I've been in many different bands, but the whole, of course, coming from Latin America, I've been inspired by that.
Sure. So these hardcore bands and punk bands were sort of an exploration of maybe that side of your music, this more aggressive side of your music, and has it influenced your playing and where you?
Yeah, I think all the music that I've listened to or played has some tiny fraction in the music that I'm doing now. Even though it's difficult to put to know exactly what kind of. I feel like on this new record, I've with the lyrics, I kind of they feel a bit like the lyrics that I used to write in the hardcore bands, like a bit more kind of accusing tone, I guess.
Yeah, I noticed that this album in particular has a bit more maybe a political nature, or you've really sort of spoken up. Less about love, a little bit more.
About other
about
things. other things. Yeah.
And is that something that you're trying to move more into, or something that just came out in this album?
I mean, it's been. I never really liked writing lyrics, although I want them to kind of mean something, and so I've been kind of focusing on not trying to write about myself, but still writing about general stuff.
General, not about anything particular here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, just not writing, not exposing myself that much. That's kind of like the main thing.
Speaking of your songs, you've become pretty well known for some of your cover songs that you've done, including the Knife's Heartbeats and a Kylie Minogue song and some other songs like that. I personally am really intrigued by the way you choose your covers and you do them. I find that unlike some other bands that are currently out there, you take a song, you turn it into your own, you find the heart or the soul of that song, and it's really an expression of yourself. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, I usually try to find songs that aren't similar to what I'm doing, so I wouldn't play a Nick Drake song or Bob Dylan, but yeah, I'm very much inspired by kind of like what Johnny Cash did with Nine Inch Nails and cover and that sort of cover.
Great version. Speaking of the songs that you choose and the recordings that you've done, Veneer was done all in your apartment in Gothenburg, correct? Yeah. And you did it all by yourself.
Yeah, it was cheap microphones and and it was a 20 square meter apartment, so it's like kitchen, bedroom, and living room all in the same. And yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of kids do that nowadays. It's easy.
Sure, and they would be lucky to have as much success as you've had. You've really, I mean, the
record labels will want to.
And your talent, you're very talented. Now, your second album, In Our Nature, it wasn't done the same way. You didn't do it in your apartment. Was it a studio or?
Yeah, I mean, it was part of this studio complex where I had a tiny room, so it was very similar. I recorded it on my own with a computer and not so cheap microphones.
You don't, but you don't. It's somebody's cell phone. I left mine off the side of the stage. So, do you find that affects the way that your songs come out in the recordings? That's more intimate. That you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of aesthetics, and I kind of like when you. I mean, at least for this style of music, when you record and you have kind of ambient sounds, you hear noise in the background. And
I noticed some noise, definitely. Well, also, in your second album, you have more people playing than you did on your first album, which is sort of an expansion of your sound as well. Let's see. I'd like to briefly touch upon sort of what brought you in, or helped bring you into the limelight, which is this Sony Bravi ad, which a lot of people talk about, and the cover song that you did. It's a beautiful cover. The ad was spectacular. I don't know how many of you have seen it, the bouncing balls going down the streets of San Francisco. And I'd maybe briefly just talk about that and the influence that it had getting you talking to people.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like, being out touring and having, reasonable amount of people coming out to the shows, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, it's like bigger rooms and emails from all over the world. And so it's been a big, I think it really kind of stepped it up to a mainstream level in many countries. So yeah, that's cool.
Not too much too fast?
No, I mean, I remember when I put out the album in Sweden, that I got the impression of like, oh, what's happening? It's like the first times that I heard myself on the radio or saw myself on TV, and that was more like a shock. And then when the advert came on, it was a similar feeling, but although it was bigger, it didn't really feel it.
Are you the type that turns the radio up when you hear yourself, or quickly changes the channel because you don't know what to do?
Yeah, it was really awkward at first. Now I'm kind of used to it, and but it's more like, you know, analyzing. It's not like yeah, I sound good.
Turn the bass up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that we're pretty close to taking a few, or I think we have time for 2 questions so that Jose can play a full set. I see one hand up back there. I'm going to have to walk towards you. Unfortunately, we only have this mic.
Feels a bit like school.
Sorry.
It's not mine, I think.
Must be me. I'm very excited. What were you doing before music?
I was studying at the university in Gothenburg, so I was doing my PhD in biochemistry, and, and did 1.5 years when I released the album, and then kind of started touring, and now I've forgotten all about it.
Okay, our founders haven't gotten their PhDs.
Yeah.
So who was... I think she had her hand up next. Sorry.
So I wanted to ask a little bit about the groups that you've collaborated with. Specifically, I'd seen the concert earlier this summer with 07. Has the sort of rise to success opened up additional opportunities for you to collaborate with people, and how has that sort of influenced your music and how it's evolved?
Yeah, no, it's been some people asking about collaborations, and I've done a couple, like with 07 and Sabbath and Savalas, MB, Kylie Minogue, but it's yeah, I kind of feel like it's usually them asking me, and it's fun, and I kind of it's fun to see how they work with writing songs. And
Is there anyone that you'd like to collaborate with that you haven't had an opportunity to do so?
Well, I've felt like it's been fun collaborating with people, but it takes a lot of time, and I'm really picky and kind of hate being in the situation where you don't really like it, and I'm too kind of I don't know, scared of conflict. So oh yeah, it sounds good, and then so yeah, no, I would rather make my own music and the music with my band, and yeah.
So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jose González and let him play you a few songs.
Feeding a monster, just feeding a that you mislead won't be up forever. Where to will you relocate now that it's wrong? Now that it's wrong. Don't you know that I'll be around to guide through your weakest moments to leave them behind you? Returning nightmares, all these shadows will catch some light and you'll be alright. Will catch some light and you'll be alright. Crosses all over, heavy on your shoulders. The sirens inside you, waiting to step forward. Disturbing silence darkens your sight. You'll catch some light and you'll be alright. You'll catch some light and you'll be alright. For now.
feet of truth. We had a promise made, for instant then away. Both under influence, we had divine sight to know what to say. Mind is a razor blade to call for hands of above, to lean on. Would it be good enough for me now? One night of magic rush, the start a simple touch. One night to push and swing, and then relief. 10 days of perfect tunes, the colors red and blue. We had a promise made, we were in love. To call for hands above, to lean on. Would it be good enough for me now? To call for hands above, to lean on. Would it be good enough? And you knew the hand of the devil, and you kept us awake with those teens, sharing different heartbeats in one night. To call for hands above, to lean on. Would it be good enough for me now? To call for hands above, to lean on. Would it be good enough? Love stain on my heart, and you left blood stain on the ground. But blood comes off easily. But blood comes off easily. Love stain on my heart, and you left blood stain on the ground. But blood comes off easily. But blood comes off easily. I see problems down the line. I know they're not mine. I'm seeing darkness down the line. I know it's not fine. Don't wash the dirt off your hands. You're doing the same mistake twice. You're making the same mistake twice. Come on over. Don't be so caught up. It's all about colonize. I see problems down the line. I know they're not mine. Don't let the darkness you go. 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 I brought me the wake up, we'll go to bed. You're sleepwalking with a delirious head. You were programmed a long time ago. Your stories are old, and your reclamation is slow. Not much of what you say makes any sense. Cook up some myths and ask for obedience, even though you mean well most of the time. You evaded delusion and created vice in our minds. one thing to fall in love, but another to make it last. I thought we were just beginning, and now you say we're in the past. And you tell me you don't want. You know it's one thing to say you love me, but another to mean it from the heart. And if you don't intend to see it through, why did we ever start? I need to hear you tell me you don't want my love. Put your hand on your heart and tell me it's all over. I won't believe it till you put your hand on your heart and tell me that we're through. Put your hand on your heart. They like to talk about forever. Most people never get the chance. Do you wanna lose your love together? Do you find in your romance? I need to hear you tell me you don't want my love. Put your hand on your heart and tell me it's all over. I won't believe it till you put your hand on your heart and tell me that we're through. Put your hand on your heart, hand on your heart. Look me in the eye and tell me we are already through.
Thank you. Play one last song. This one is also a cover. It's one by Massive Attack. The song is called Teardrop.
Love, love is safer. Love breath. Black flowers blossom, feathers on my breath. Water is my eye, most faithful mirror. Feathers on my breath. Teardrop on the fire of a confession. Feathers on my breath. Most faithful mirror. Feathers on my breath. Teardrop on the fire. Feathers on my You're stumbling into home. You're stumbling into home.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.